Stolen Heaven, Secret Hell, Episode 19, You Don't Own Me. You burn, you breathe, you don't own me. That hungry fire falls to peace. Scars remain, but my heart's not stone. With stronger hands, you brought me home. I'm not alone, I'm walking free. 3 times this chorus has come around. The first time, you take, you break, you don't let go. The addiction speaking its ownership, the person still held. The second time, stronger hands won't let me go. The ownership beginning to transfer, the fight engaged, the declaration starting. And now, the third time, the same opening, the same fire still burning and breathing, and a completely different declaration. You don't own me. Not you no longer exist. Not you have gone away. Not the fire has been extinguished or the pull has disappeared or the chemical pathways have been rewired and the old need is finally silent. The addiction still burns. It still breathes. It is still real and honest and present. This song has never pretended otherwise, and it will not start pretending now. But it does not own. And I want you to understand the weight of that distinction, because it carries everything with it. Ownership means definition. Ownership means the final word about who you are and what you do and where you go and what your life is organized around. The addiction owned all of that once. It was the organizing principle, the hidden center, the thing that shaped the schedule and the relationships and the interior life and the identity. And now that ownership belongs to someone else. God owns this life. He purchased it at the specific and costly price of the blood of his Son, as 1 Peter 1:18-19 declares. He claimed it, speaking over it each morning, "You are still mine." He fought for it, sending stronger hands into the fire and holding on through every faltering and every starting again. He staked his eternal glory on it, saying to eternity, "Look at this one. Watch what I do. Let my glory shine through someone like this." When the person looks at the fire still burning and says, "You don't own me," they are not speaking from their own strength. They are speaking from the strength of the one who backs them, supports them, strengthens them, and will be glorified through them. The declaration is not personal triumph. It is the announcement of whose ownership has replaced whose. Not mine, his. And then, the most surprising line in the entire song, that hungry fire falls to peace, not out, to peace. This is so specific and so important that I do not want to rush past it, because someone reading this might be waiting for the part where the fire goes out, where the addiction is fully defeated and the pull is permanently silenced and the chemical craving is finally resolved. And I need to say something that is honest and difficult and pastorally true. For some people, that will happen in this life. God is fully capable of freeing someone from addiction completely and dramatically and permanently, and He does. And when He does, it is a miracle worth celebrating fully. But for some people, it will not happen in this life. The chemical addiction that plagues them, written into their biology, present in their neurology, real in their body, will not be fully resolved on this side of eternity. And I do not know why. Nobody does. The question of why God frees some completely and walks others through their whole lives still carrying the weight of the addiction is one of the genuine mysteries of faith, and I will not pretend to have resolved it. What I can say is this: victory through Christ does not require victory over the addiction. The hungry fire falls to peace, not because it has been extinguished, but because it has been placed in its proper relationship to the one who is greater than it. The fire still burns, but it cannot destroy. It still breathes, but it cannot define. It still calls sometimes, but it does not own. And in the knowledge of that, in the settled, certain knowledge of who owns this life, and what that ownership means, and what it cost, and what it guarantees, there is peace. Real peace. Not the temporary relief the addiction always promised and never delivered. the peace that Paul describes in Philippians 4:7 as surpassing all understanding, the peace that does not make sense given the circumstances, that should not be available in the presence of the still burning fire, and yet is. We do not need to have victory over addiction to have peace. We need to know who we belong to. And in that knowing, the fire, still burning, still present, still real, falls, not out, to peace, because it cannot destroy what belongs to the one who conquered death. And the scars remain. This too is honest and important. The scars of the journey do not disappear in this chorus. They are named. Scars remain. The marks of what was walked through are present, and that is right, because the scars are not the enemy. The scars are the evidence. They are the testimony written in the body. This is what it cost. This is what was walked through. This is the fire that burned, and the chains that held, and the grace that met every moment of it. The scars do not tell the story of defeat. They tell the story of survival and redemption and the specific faithfulness of a God who stayed through the fire and brought someone home through it. But the heart is not stone. That is the miracle. That is the Ezekiel 36:26 promise fulfilled in this specific life. The heart that was numbed and calcified and cold and distant from its own life has been given flesh. It beats, it feels, it grieves and hopes and loves and is present in its own life in ways the stone heart never could be. And then the final declaration, the evolution of everything this song has been building toward. I'm not alone, I'm walking free. Not alone was the foundation, the discovery in the darkest moment that the God who knew everything had not left. The declaration outward and upward that the isolation was broken and the stronger hands were holding, and the fight was no longer a solo fight. And now, on that foundation, walking free. Not free from the addiction necessarily, not free from the racing pulse or the old wound or the fire that still burns. Free from the curse, free from the ownership, free from the shame that said you are what you did, free from the isolation that said nobody could know, free from the lie that said grace has a limit and yours has been reached, free from the definition that the addiction tried to make permanent, free in the ways that actually matter, free in the ways that last, free in the ways that this temporary life cannot give and cannot take, because the freedom is rooted in the eternal, purchased by the eternal, guaranteed by the one who is eternal. This life is temporary. The addiction, for those who carry it their whole lives, is temporary. The body that remembers the old ways is temporary. The fire that still burns is temporary. Christ is eternal. His ownership is eternal. His glory through this life is eternal. The freedom he purchased is eternal. And that is what walking free means. Not the absence of the fire, the presence of the one who is greater than it. Forever, I'm walking free. Reflection for those in recovery. What does it mean to you that walking free does not require the fire to go out? That peace is available even if the addiction never fully resolves in this life? Does that bring comfort, or does it bring grief, or both? For those beside someone in recovery, how do you hold hope for someone's full healing while also making space for the possibility that the fire may not go out completely in this life? And how do you communicate that God is still good and the person is still free in the ways that matter?